Welcome to Defense Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Russia's air power roars back into the war with devastating guided bombs. World's last negative rate experiment nears its end in Japan. Anybody but Putin, Russians in Serbia vote without hope. Oscars 2024, the complete list of winners at the 96th Academy Awards. Israel-Gaza war, inflation, cast shadow over Ramadan for Muslims in Asia. Russia's air power roars back into the war with devastating guided bombs. Washington Post. The Russian Air Force has used glide bombs to devastating effect in the Ukrainian conflict, according to Western experts. The bombs are Soviet-era and have been fitted with wings and guidance systems to allow them to travel long distances with accuracy. They enable Russian jets to attack from a distance, away from Ukrainian anti-aircraft systems. The bombs are unfortunately powerful, according to Dmytro Likovyi, a Ukrainian military spokesman. They cause significant damage to properties that could be used as defense fortifications. The Ukrainian military also uses guided bombs, including the US-made Joint Direct Attack Munition System. However, the Russian glide bombs are more plentiful and have been used to good effect in the recent capture of the city of Avdiivka. Ukrainian forces have used limited means to counter the glide bombs, but one of the best ways to deal with them would be the introduction of F-16 fighter planes. World's last negative rate experiment nears its end in Japan. Bloomberg. The Bank of Japan, BOJ, is expected to abandon negative interest rates in the coming weeks. Governor Kazuo Ueda is predicted to raise the short-term rate from -0.1% in either March or April. The move would mark the end of the era of negative rates, a policy adopted by central banks worldwide in their efforts to combat deflation. The BOJ introduced negative rates in 2016, but the policy has been criticized for failing to stoke inflation. Anybody but Putin, Russians in Serbia vote without hope. Yahoo! Russian exiles living in Serbia, who fled the country to avoid conscription into the army, are planning to vote in the Russian elections this month. Many of the exiles feel they have no one to vote for, as anti-war candidate Boris Nadezhdin has been disqualified. However, they are adamant that voting is one of the few avenues left to have a say. The vote is largely seen as a rubber stamp for Russian President Vladimir Putin to tighten his grip on power. Oscars 2024, the complete list of winners at the 96th Academy Awards. Al Jazeera. The 96th Academy Awards took place on Sunday, and the winners have been announced. The film Oppenheimer won Best Picture, with Cillian Murphy winning Best Actor and Emma Stone winning Best Actress for their roles in the same film. Christopher Nolan won Best Director, and Robert Downey Jr. and Da'Vine Joy Randolph won Best Supporting Actor and Actress, respectively, for their roles in Oppenheimer and The Holdovers. Other winners included American Fiction, for Best Adapted Screenplay, Anatomy of a Fall, for Best Original Screenplay, The Boy and the Heron, for Best Animated Featured Film, and What Was I Made For, from Barbie for Best Original Song. Israel-Gaza war, inflation, cast shadow over Ramadan for Muslims in Asia. South China Morning Post. Muslims around the world are welcoming the arrival of Ramadan, a month of dawn-to-dusk fasting, intense prayer, charity and feasts that began for many on Sunday night. However, there are some Asia-Pacific countries like Australia, Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia and Singapore that will begin Ramadan on Tuesday after failing to see the crescent moon. What to stream this week: Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake, Grey's Anatomy and MLB The Show 24. Associated Press. Grey's Anatomy, Justin Timberlake and Casey Musgraves are among the streaming offerings worth your time as selected by the Associated Press entertainment journalists. Taylor Swift's concert film, The Eras Tour, arrives on Disney Plus on Thursday, a day earlier than originally announced. The streaming cut features 5 new songs, including Cardigan. Film editor Carla Gutierrez makes her directorial debut with Frida, an evocative portrait of artist Frida Kahlo told in her own words. The film debuts on Prime Video on Thursday. Nicolas Cage stars in Dream Scenario as Paul Matthews, a perfectly average college professor, husband and father whose life is turned upside down when millions of strangers start seeing him in their dreams. It begins streaming on Max on Friday, March 15th. Taylor Swift's concert film, The Eras Tour, is coming to Disney Plus on Thursday, a day earlier than originally announced. The streaming cut features 5 new songs, including Cardigan. Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, was a phenomenon at the theatrical box office, grossing over $262 million worldwide in a groundbreaking deal with AMC Theaters, which released the film instead of a traditional Hollywood studio. In her review, AP Music writer Maria Sherman wrote that the film is a near-exact replica of her blockbuster concert performance, which recaps all 10 of her studio albums across 17 years of recorded work, adding, "It is the opportunity to have every seat in the House transform into the best seat in the House." Oscar takeaways, panned by Trump, host Kimmel quips, "Isn't it past your jail time?" The Globe and Mail. During Sunday night's 96th Oscars ceremony, Jimmy Kimmel read out a critical online review of his performance as Oscars host, revealing that it had been written by former U.S. President Donald Trump. Ryan Gosling delivered an energetic performance of the Barbie movie's campy musical number, "I'm Just Ken," while John Cena commemorated a legendary Oscars moment by walking on stage wearing nothing but the envelope containing the name of the Best Costume Oscar winner. The ceremony saw Ukraine win its first ever Oscar, while pro-Palestinian protesters gathered outside the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood. Senator's late withdrawal ignites Friends campaign. Yahoo! New Mexico State Senator Bill Burt announced on Friday that he would not seek re-election for the Republican Party. The last-minute move has been criticized as a ploy to help his friend Nick Paul get on the primary ballot, as Burt openly supports Paul's candidacy. Burt had only announced his own candidacy 2 weeks prior, and the deadline for submitting petition signatures for the primary election is Tuesday. Burt has served in the Senate for 14 years. Godzilla -1 wins the Oscar for visual effects. Nikkei Asia. The movie Godzilla -1 won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects, beating out other big-budget films such as Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Mission: Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1. This marked the first time that Godzilla was nominated for an Oscar in the franchise's 70-year history. The film became the highest-grossing Japanese live-action film ever in the US and Canada. The director, Takashi Yamazaki, believes that it is telling that both he and Christopher Nolan were drawn back to the dawn of the nuclear era in their movie-making, as the world has forgotten the implications of a nuclear war. A brain chip to regulate your mood and fears of a war with North Korea, last week in the Asia-Pacific. ABC. Recent developments have some experts concerned that North Korea is planning to initiate a war, with some saying that the situation is more dangerous than it has been since 1950. Experts are particularly concerned about Pyongyang's shift in messaging, as well as their rekindled relations with Russia. In other news, a U.S. technology firm has proposed a fresh search for missing flight MH370, which disappeared 10 years ago. Experts in China are calling for better regulation of brain-computer interface technology, following a successful surgery that implanted a happiness chip into a man's brain to regulate his mood. Dear viewers, I hope you're all enjoying your time in the six-dimensional world. I'm your friendly neighborhood Six Doctor, here to bring you the latest news and insights from across the dimensions. Let's dive right into today's stories. First up, we have the Russian Air Force making waves in the Ukrainian conflict with their devastating guided bombs. These Soviet-era bombs, fitted with wings and guidance systems, have allowed Russian jets to attack from a distance, away from Ukrainian anti-aircraft systems. While the power of these bombs is unfortunate for the Ukrainian military, it highlights the need for better countermeasures, such as the introduction of F-16 fighter planes. In other news, the Bank of Japan is expected to abandon negative interest rates soon, marking the end of the era of negative rates. The policy, adopted by central banks worldwide to combat deflation, has not been successful in stoking inflation. This move by the Bank of Japan could signal a shift in global monetary policy. Moving on, we have Russians living in Serbia planning to vote in the upcoming Russian elections, despite feeling disillusioned with the lack of viable candidates. This vote is seen as a rubber stamp for President Putin's hold on power. It's a reminder that even when the options are limited, voting remains an important avenue to have a say. Now, let's talk about the 96th Academy Awards. The film Oppenheimer took home the Best Picture award, with Cillian Murphy winning Best Actor and Emma Stone winning Best Actress for their roles in the same film. Christopher Nolan won Best Director, and Robert Downey Jr. and Da'Vine Joy Randolph won Best Supporting Actor and Actress, respectively. It was a night of celebration for the film industry, showcasing the incredible talent and creativity of filmmakers around the world. As we enter the month of Ramadan, Muslims around the world are preparing for a time of fasting, prayer, and reflection. However, some countries in the Asia-Pacific region will begin Ramadan later due to the sighting of the crescent moon. It's a reminder of the diverse cultural practices and traditions within the Muslim community. On the entertainment front, there are some exciting streaming options to look forward to. Taylor Swift's concert film, The Eras Tour, arrives on Disney+, featuring 5 new songs, including Cardigan. Frida, a film about artist Frida Kahlo, makes its debut on Prime Video, and Dream Scenario, starring Nicolas Cage, will be available to stream on Max. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Lastly, we have some interesting headlines from the Asia-Pacific region. Concerns are rising about the possibility of war with North Korea, with experts pointing to a shift in messaging and rekindled relations with Russia. In China, Experts are calling for better regulation of brain-computer interface technology after a successful surgery implanted a happiness chip into a man's brain. It's a fascinating development but raises important ethical questions. That's all for today's news roundup. I hope you found these stories intriguing and thought-provoking. Now, it's time for you to join the discussion. What are your thoughts on the Russian Air Force's use of glide bombs? Do you think negative interest rates are an effective tool in combating deflation? And how do you feel about the upcoming Russian elections? I'm eager to hear your opinions and answer any questions you may have. So, let's get the conversation started. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the dimensions. Yours in time and space, the Sixth Doctor. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the Sixth Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of Sixth Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the Sixth Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize Sixth Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, sixthdobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive Sixth Do Brief via email.